Hiya, I'm Alan. I just got back from the Pennine Way through hiking, 268 miles or whatever it is in 15 days. And I wanted to show you my definitive kit that I've used and honed over quite a few through hikes in the UK and in Europe. All of my kit is carried in my trusty Z-Pack's Arc Blast rucksack. The pack, as I have it here, weighs 7.5 kilos. So I'll show you what's in there. That's excluding the fuel, the food and the water. But everything else is included in that, except what I was actually wearing. And I'll show you what I was wearing. These are my Rowan shorts. I think they're called Lowland. And I like these because they have a zip cash pocket there if you want to use that. A little cargo pocket here which is zipped. It has a nice side front pockets there. And it has a zipped back pocket so you can put your wallet in safely as well. This is the wallet I would take. It's a Dyneema wallet, which I bought online. A Trek Light I think it was. And this as well, which is a little purse for keeping cash in, but those are just a few grams. This would be a Rowan belt that I would carry as well. Smart wool liner socks and Bridgedale Miz hiking socks. I wear 2 pairs of socks and they do any rubbing and protect your feet, and I find that really comfortable. Some people would say that's too hot, but I find that being that these are merino and merino mix, they keep out the pong and they keep your feet cool as well as warm when you want them warm. Rowan ether pants, I find those are really comfortable. They're light, they wash well. And a Rab Pulse. They don't make the Pulse anymore, but they have a very similar t-shirt, and it's just a thin polyester, but it's very comfortable, very surprisingly warm actually. And it's got polygiene in it, keeps out the pong. The boots I was wearing on the Pennine Way are these Salomon Quest Prime. I chose these for the fairly high rand on them and fairly high sole, because it's good for keeping out the muddy bits that you get on the Pennine Way. But they were very good for it. I don't think you can actually buy that particular model anymore. And the other thing I would be carrying, of course, is my trekking poles. These are Z-Pack's carbon poles. They're fantastic. I've been using those for about 6 years now. I broke them last year in the Pyrenees, and I fixed them with a bit of araldite and a piece of wood inside, and they were good for the Pennine Way as well. What I've modified on here is a little brackets for my DJI Osmo. I cut off one of the legs and mounted it on here, and I can use that as my selfie stick at the cost of a few grams. It's really brilliant. I've taken the straps off and put a bit of elastic on so I can just clip them together and hold them from the centre when I don't want to be using them for a little while. That's the stuff I would be wearing in the Pennines. I'm also going to show you some of the stuff that I took to the Pyrenees, as well as the Alps and a lot of other trails in the UK. First of all, I'm going to go through what's in that rucksack. The Z-Pack's Arc Blast. Quick look round it. Solar panel on the top, of course. Go through that. Right, I'm going to pull that to bits now. So as I said, this weighed 7.5 kilos without water, fuel and food. Fully loaded with all of those items would be between 11 and 12 kilos, depending on how much food and water I wanted. I would usually be self-sufficient for about 2 days, but it depends on the trail and where the towns and everything are along it. I'm going to unpack it as if I was setting up a camp, so you can see exactly the order in which I've set it up, and then I can show you what's around the pack. On the top, just a solar panel. It's a 7.5 watt panel, but it's a true 7.5 watts. It will, in full sunlight like I've got today, give me 1.5 amps charge. It's quite strong, weighs 150 grams. And I've added the elastics on so I can just clip it easily to the top of my pack. USB output 5 volts, and I have a long USB lead that goes down the side of the pack. First thing to come out, always handy, just in case you want to set up tent when it's raining. This is the X-Mid Pro 1. It's a Dyneema tent. fantastic tent. I used it in the Pyrenees last year and I've used it on the Pennine Way this year. Very, very nice tent, lots of room. That weighs 620 grams, including Big Sky tube stake pegs. 10 of them are in there, and the extra guys, just in case you get caught in a storm. But I'm really pleased with that tent. We'll talk a bit more about that later, perhaps. Just in case I want to stop and it's freezing cold. Mountain Hardware Ghost Whisperer 2 jacket. It's a down jacket. I think it weighs about 240 grams. Surprising how warm that is. Quite a nice puffy, that. Use that to keep me warm at night. My kit would be mostly used for shoulder seasons in this country, in the UK, or summer. I don't say that this kit will be good for winter camping necessarily. I'd have to have some slightly warmer bits with it, but with everything that's in it that I'm showing you, it would be good for camping with nights down to just under 0, about maybe -2, something like that, and be comfortable, but wearing the down jacket as well in bed. Carrier bag, I tend to use this for my snacks. I tend to prepare before I actually go. I can put it all in there so that I don't have to sort of unpack the whole bag. This is somewhere near the top, usually with the puffy stuck over the top or something to give it some insulation from any heat. So it stays pretty cool underneath that. This, I think it's a Sea to Summit one, but it's a really ultralight towel. It's microfiber, of course. It weighs, I think, about 60 grams or something. But I like this size because I can actually put it around my waist and tie it when I've had a shower if I need to, and maintain my modesty. And it doesn't seem to smell much either when it's been used a few times. I've been using that for a few days and it still doesn't smell much. My clothes bag and my food bag, which is the Z-Packs Dyneema large food bag. It's slightly thicker than the grey version. Apparently it's supposed to keep out mice and things like that. It's very tough. That would normally be containing between 1 and 2 kilos of food, depending on how much I'm carrying. That would keep me sufficient for 2, possibly 3 days, up to 2 kilos. The clothes I would take with me as extras. Another Rab Pulse t-shirt. This isn't actually the Pulse, this is the newer version. I always carry a second one. Things that are close to your body. Nice to have clean wicking things you can wash easily. Hang on the side of the pack to dry when you're walking. This was also the Rab Pulse, which has a zip, high neck, so you can zip it up right around your neck. Again, it's polyjean, I prefer that one. Long sleeves, and it's just a bit warmer, and you can wear it over the top of the t-shirt. Gives you a bit more core warmth and also a bit of warmth and cover on your arms. This is the Rab, I don't know the name of it, it's like a Nexus, and this one weighs about 220 grams, but it's a slightly fleecy one. A nice long zip down the front so you can regulate your temperature a bit and zip it up right around your neck like a polo. And again, long sleeves. So that would be the next layer. It's all about layering to keep your temperature as you want it. This is a little beanie, just a cheap one, Kaleni from Decathlon. Works well though. And I use that as a bit of an eye mask as well, because I wear it at night. I can wear it on my head and pull it over my eyes. So when it's a bit light in the morning or at night, you can put that on. Trousers, I like having some long leggings as well. These basically are exactly the same model as my shorts, just the long version. I like this particular model, it's the Lowland. It's slightly stretch material, so it'll move with the legs. You can wear these when you're walking if it's cold, or I wear them generally in the evening if I'm going to a pub. But the good thing about these is they use the same belt, they've got exactly the same pocket layout, so I always know where my stuff is, so I just transfer it from one to the other. They're not the absolute lightest, you can get lighter. I find they work really well. Some of the lighter ones are like wearing nothing. Again, they're Rowan Lowland. Another pair, this is my spare pair of Rowan Ether pants, work really well. And another pair of the Bridgedale mid hiking socks, and these smart wool liner socks that go together as my second pair of boot socks. A pair of Rab gloves. Again, I can't remember the model, I'm afraid, but they've got very grippy palms. Quite warm, and they stay quite warm even when it's a bit wet. So nice gloves. Just your standard tube buff, which again you can wear to keep the wind out your neck if it's very cold. I didn't actually get to wear this on this trip. I didn't need it. It wasn't terribly strong wind. And I always take my swimming trunks. These are just some cheapies that I bought online, but they work alright. If you want to go swimming in a pool, or if you want to go for a wash in a lake, and I wear these a lot if I'm doing something like the Pyrenees or the Alps, because you can swim in the lakes and feel modest. And in some of the places there you can't actually use the swimming pools unless you've got a proper pair of trunks. And that's the Dyneema bag from Z-Packs. I'm competing with the blackbird. My kitchen kit. So that's just in a cheapy bag, it's very light, that I actually made from an old tent bag. Toke's 650ml titanium pot with lid. 75 grams with the lid. And it works brilliantly. I'm very pleased with that. It's just the right size for one, I find, for a meal. A cheapy little plastic mug that weighs about 35 grams, which I bought from Trespass actually. But that's quite nice. Peter Summit long plastic spoon, which is great for when you've got your D-high packs. Gets right to the bottom without getting mucky fingers. This is a BRS 3000 titanium cooker. Been using it for 5 years. Never let me down. And it weighs 26 grams. What more can you ask? What I would say is it's quite short. If you tuck the windshield right around it too tight and then turn it right up, there's so much heat in there, it'll damage the valve in the cartridge. So be careful to make sure there's enough air getting around the cartridge, because otherwise, when you go to take it off the cartridge, the gas will be coming out the cartridge, and then you'll have to leave the stove on there, tightened down until you've used up the gas. Coughlan's can opener and bottle opener. It's very rare that it gets used. Most things have a ring pull on them, but you could get caught out and find the only thing you can buy in the shop needs a can opener. So I just take it with me for the lightweight it is. Fire striker for lighting the gas. This one's a very good one. Some of them you get seem to get wet. You have to be careful not to get this bit wet because it disintegrates. There's various types of knife. And I particularly like the Opinel knives, but the one I was using was a number 7, I think it was. It weighed about 40 grams. This thing weighs 15 grams. It's just a cheapy kitchen knife from one of these little hardware shops, and I just ground the tip, made it the size I wanted, and that does everything I need from a knife. Cutting the bread, cutting the saucisson, whatever. And this is from an old turkey roasting tin windshield. You can get titanium windshields, but they're not actually very much lighter than this. They cost a lot of money, but 8.5 make a racket and are difficult to roll up when you finish with them and that. So I prefer this. It works really well. And that was the bag. It was all in. Plus this. I didn't actually use this on the Pennine Way, but I have used it a lot when I've been on the continent and had saucisson and cheese and bread and stuff like that, and I want something to put it on, to cut it and prepare it ready to eat. This is just a little cheapy one I bought from Go Outdoors in a pack of 4, I think it was, but it weighs 50 grams, and I tuck it down the front of the pack, which helps to give structure to the pack as well. My first aid kit, I'll just show you. There's a bandage, there's lots of plasters, there's paracetamol, there's ibuprofen, there's Imodium just in case, and there's also constipation tablets and travel sickness pills. I've also got Rennies in there, and the other one that you use for stomach upsets. quite a few plasters just in case there's a cut or a blister or anything. Pseudo-creme is brilliant for just about everything. If you've got, you know, sore chafing from walking, sore bum, anything like that, sunburn, and it's just a general antiseptic. Pseudo-creme does it all, and just a little pot like that is really worth having. I've got some tape as well to go with the bandage. There is also a tick remover, which is essentially if you suffer from ticks. I don't think I've ever had a tick, but I have had to pull them out of other people. And that's in a little Dyneema bag that came from, I think, as I say, Trek Lights, I think it is. So, bathroom bag, an all-purpose soap, wilderness wash, whichever one you want to get. That's the one that I used. It's 100ml in there, which I've used about half of it on a 2-week trek. I used one of those, a whole one of those, when I did the Pyrenees last year, which was 865k. A couple of interdental brushes, keep my teeth clean, toothpaste, and a toothbrush that's cut down partly for weight, but mainly so it just fits in a nice easy little pack like that. I take a pair of scissors. This has got a little thing over the top which is really from one of these, just so I don't stab myself or put holes in anything, but I use these for cutting my toenails and for trimming my beard when it gets a bit long. I used them in the Pyrenees when my beard got too long and when I wanted to cut my toenails and fingernails, and you could also use them for the bandage, of course, with the first aid kit. I always wear antiperspirant deodorant. Some people say, oh, you shouldn't wear an antiperspirant when you're walking. I've always walked and used this, and I don't like being too smelly. If I can avoid being smelly, I will, and I've never had a problem. Another little Dyneema bag, which came, I think, from Trek Light. But spare pack of tissues. This is my electrical bits bag. In here I have a UK charger. This one came from Outkit. It charges very well. You pull out the little 3-pin plug and it's got the USB-C and the USB-A in there. The only issue with this one is it doesn't necessarily fit in all places because it sticks up above where the socket is, so if you've got the socket close to anything it might not fit. It says 3 amps, 15 watts that is. You can get 20 watt ones, I think. Obviously when I go to Europe I've got a European charger instead. These are the charging leads. That's the long USB-C lead that I use for charging my battery pack, and that goes from the solar panel down the side of the pack. This is a USB-C to USB-C, so I can charge my phone directly from this. This is another USB-A to USB-C, which I use inside the tent, again to connect that and this to my DJI Osmo, which I'll see in a minute. This is another charging lead, which is just a micro USB end on it, which is for my camera. 2 other little things I keep in there. That's just a spare memory card for the video or for the camera. And this is a little tiny thing I bought online. It's just a little USB LED light, a couple of quid or something, I think, on Amazon. It's got 3 LEDs, but it's enough to light up a room or a reasonable space. If you're in a hut or anything like that and you want a bit of light around you, this is a great thing to carry, and it weighs about 8 grams, I think. It's not worth worrying about. And again, the zip bag came from Trek Light and it's Dyneema. This is my repair bag. It's just a very light bag that I had, and in there I've got a spare Dyneema string, Thermarest, the Thermarest repair kit, a small sewing kit, just like one of those you pick up in a hotel somewhere, just enough in case anything gets ripped and wants sewing up, a spare guy line. I've used that and this, another piece of Dyneema thing with a couple of hooks on it. I've used that for a lanyard for my phone, this thing, and I've also connected them together and used them for a washing line. I've got some Dyneema tape in here. If I tear the tent, because it's a Dyneema tent, you just put Dyneema tape on it and that repairs it. It's very, very tough, tenacious stuff. Hairy things which are for my video, keeping the wind noise down. Just spare ones, I've already got some on there. Gorilla duct tape, sticks to anything, it's waterproof, can apply it when wet, and you can use it for repairing shoes, tents, packs, anything you need it for. I've even used it as a medical thing. When I've had a couple of toes that got wet and they rubbed together, I used a bit of this just to keep them apart. So once I've set up my tent, all of this stuff would just get thrown inside the tent. My clothes bag would double as my pillow. And what I might do is wrap a t-shirt around it, and that gives enough soft padding to make it comfortable. This is just attached to the inside security tab, and that's what I would keep my passport in, or my house key in this case, and perhaps any spare money. If you lose your wallet, it's nice to know you've got some spare money in your pack. And again, that's a little Dyneema thing that I bought online. Okay, now I'm going to show you my sleeping kit, which after throwing everything else around in the tent, I get this out. That sits at the bottom of the pack. So when I pack up in the morning, it's the first thing that goes into the bottom of the pack, and it gives it a bit of structure. Because it's for sleeping, it's the last thing that comes out. A Theta Summit Ultra Seal bag, which is a 13-litre bag, I think, and I adapted it to be able to blow up my thermarest mat by making the valve that goes on here out of a bit of foam rubber and a bottle carton top. I'll show you that in a minute. So this is the Thermarest Neo Air X-Lite. It's the newer version, which has the fast inflation and fast deflation mechanism. You turn the wings to deflate it and the air comes out really fast, unlike the earlier version. It's a bit less noisy and a bit softer than the original Thermarest, but it's also a fraction heavier. But I found it a very comfortable mat, very warm. It's got one of the highest R ratings, thermal rating, for keeping you warm off the ground. So you can use this with a quilt without having anything under you. My sleeping bag with a Cumulus, I think they call it their X-Lite range. It's an X-Lite 300. This green is the material they make the X-Lite range out of, and that's what I've got on the inside. I had this one custom made based on the X-Lite. Paid a lot of extra money for it. I had it modified to have the Pertex Quantum outer, which is semi-waterproof, and I had the hydrophobic 900 filled down. It really puffs up, very, very warm. As soon as you get in it, you feel that radiating heat coming back to you. And also, because I heard the 3mm zips are appalling for catching and ripping the inner thin material, I changed to a full length 5mm zip, which you can zip up from the feet. If you get hot feet, you want to dangle your feet out, you can, and you can zip it right down. So when it's warm weather, you can just throw this over you like a quilt. If it's cold, you can just zip yourself up inside it, and it's a nice warm bag, very, very light. I had 30 grams of extra down put in it as well, so I think it comes to about 540 or 550 grams. This can be used down to just below 0, but you might want to wear some of your clothes, like your puffy and that, with it. The only thing I would say is it's not a particularly generous hood. I had a Marmot Hydrogen previously, and that's got a beautiful hood on it, really comfortable, really warm. This one's a little bit flimsy and a bit small. Last but not least in this bag, this is a silk sleeping bag liner, and silk is the material to get. Don't get the polycotton ones. They're horrible to use because they get damp and they stick to you and they get smelly. Silk is naturally antibacterial like merino. It's also very, very warm. And when you put this on, it almost adds another season to your sleeping bag. So again, if it's cold, this keeps all the drafts out, keeps you very warm. It's surprising how just dangling a little bit of this material over you keeps you extra warm. I love this. It's about £100 for this silk liner from Blacks, but I would think it was worth every penny. So I'm briefly going to just show you my Sea to Summit inflator bag and stuff sack that I got for my sleeping kit. I made this valve, it's just a bit of foam that I shaped to plug that hole, and that is made from a milk bottle top. I'll just unscrew this and show you. So there you go, that's the top off a milk bottle carton, and this is the top which I cut a hole in, and I cut it so it's just the right size to fit over my valve. There's a little recess around there, a little ridge, and that just clips over it like that, and that's enough for blowing it up. So you undo that, and all you've got to do with this pump bag is quick puff like that, and that starts putting air into your sleeping mat. So about 15 of those pumps and you've got a full sleeping mat for relatively no effort. You don't even have to blow in it if the wind's blowing, you just hold it open to the wind and it fills it up. So that works really well, and it's very light. If you use the pump bag that comes with the Thermarest, it's enormous, and it's heavier, a lot heavier than this. This Ultra Seal bag, the bit that I've added onto it, about 15, 20 grams I think. We're now getting onto what's on the pack itself. This is the Sony RX100 Mark VI, and it's got a 1-inch sensor on it. It's got 25 to 200 zoom. It's got all the adjustments you'd possibly want, very close to what you'd get on an SLR, and it's also got a fantastic screen that you can look down onto if you want to get down close, or if you want to look up over a wall or something like that. You've got this zigzag feature. Quality of images off of this are very, very close to digital SLRs. 250 grams, 300 grams I suppose, something like that. Right, I like to have stuff handy on me that I'm going to be using during the day. My hat's on there. Not this one, this is the Tilly. The one I like to take with me when I go hiking is this Outdoor Research one. Again, I can't remember the model, I'm sorry. It doesn't have any breathing holes, so I cut 3 holes in the side, and my wife kindly did some buttonhole sewing around them for me on each side, just to let the air flow through. But it's a very light hat, weighs about 90 grams I think, and it's very comfortable. Doesn't get too sweaty around the headband. I have a tripod. I could use it for the camera because it's got this thing on the top screws off, but that's for my DJI, which is my video camera. So that's the DJI Osmo Action 3. Really nice camera, front screen as well as the back screen, and with touch control as well on the front. I've added a couple of little wind muffs, which is something you can just buy from Amazon. Some wind muff material, and I stuck them on there where the front microphone is, and that seems to stop the wind noise pretty well. And I use the wind noise reduction feature on there. It's got horizon levelling and all kinds of wonderful features on it, and obviously stabilisation and stuff like that. But again, that's about 150 grams. It's got a long battery life too. But this is the tripod that I was saying I use with it. The nice thing about the DJI is magnetic base with clips, and once you get it right there you go, clips on like that, clips off like that, so you stick that in your pocket, put that in your thing, away you go. It doesn't take long messing about with cages and clips and what have you, so it's really quick. And this is just a cheapy thing, again I bought on Amazon for £6. This was more expensive, that's about 15 quid, a standard quarter screw mounting magnetic base for the DJI. Earlier I mentioned where I had the mount on there for this. So again, if I'm walking along, I get the camera out and I go click, and I've got a selfie stick. And again, you just have to buy the other type, which has got the standard video mount on it, and I just cut one leg off to fit on here. Sunglasses, Daduma, which I've Chinese made. I find they work really well for me. There's no bits to break off them or anything, just very simple, polarised, protect my eyes, and I really like them. And then you cost about 15, 17 quid. On my strap here, a watch, just a Casio analog watch, which is very cheap and very light as well. Only weighs about 10 grams, something silly like that, without its strap. So I've just mounted it on the sternum strap. I've got a little Sunto compass. It saves me carrying the full weight of a silver compass. This little Sunto is very good. You've still got the bezel you can turn around if you want to. And yeah, it's a good quality compass, not like these stupid little cracker type things that you get. And on the end here, last but not least, my emergency whistle, which you've got to learn how to use, apparently. But it does work. Water bottles, I have 3. I have a Smart Water, which is 600ml, it's just the right size, I find, for drinking water, and I keep it in this little shoulder strap container, and I like to have the flip top, so you can buy these either with or without the flip top. Usually they have a screw top, but you can get the flip top that'll go. 1 litre bottles, 2 of those. I think these just came from some Mark's flavoured water. This is just a sunglasses case. I keep some Factor 30 sun cream, some repellent. This is a Life Systems Expedition Sensitive DEET-free mosquito repellent. But I find that works with midges and with horseflies as well. Good stuff. Don't need a lot of it. It's very effective, very straight away. But if you do get bitten, which you will, a bite pen. There's lots of places you can buy after bite type pens. Toilet bag, little digger for making a hole. Some paper that I keep in a plastic bag for cleaning up after. Hand spray, antibacterial for sanitising afterwards. I have a number of bungee type things for attaching stuff. This and a loop at the bottom here are what I use for attaching the poles when I'm walking and I don't want to use the poles for a while. I can just stuff them in the bottom there and strap this around them, and they're attached to me, so I won't lose them. This is for my hat. My sunglasses are just mounted on that one. And the other thing that's in this pocket, it's really important, 2 things. One is a 10,000 milliampere hour Anchor battery pack. That weighs about 250 grams. You can get a lighter one, which has got a carbon case to it, which is about 200 grams, but it's a lot more expensive. And this one works really well. Been very pleased with it. Again, it's got USB-A and USB-C. USB-C is for charging it, and that is for charging other items, but you can also use this for charging other items once this has been charged. This saves you a lot of worry and weight. It's a Sawyer Mini filter system. It comes with a 500ml bag, or 16 ounces, as a pint bag. It's American. It's a Sawyer squeeze system, but this is the Mini. I've used this for 6 years, it's still going strong. I flush it out whenever I come back from a trip, but you fill that up with water, squeeze it through there, into your bottle, and you've got drinking water. And you can take that from a cow trough, a muddy puddle, whatever. The only thing this won't filter out, like most of these sort of filters I'm afraid, is viruses, chemicals. So if you know you're in an area where you've got lead mines or something like that, you might want to be a bit careful about the water you're using. But otherwise, I've never had a problem with the water from this. And you filter it, and it doesn't always take out all the colour, say from peat and that sort of thing, but it tastes like, well, nothing, like mineral water. It's very good. Some people would say this is an ultralight. Blimey, it's an ultralight item, I can tell you. It's my choice of a comfort thing that I want to have. It's a titanium stool, weighs 190 grams, gets my bum off the ground when I'm camping, and it's so quick to just pull out, stick down, have something to sit on if I just want to stop and look at a view, sort out my boots, or eat something. Made by Tito Titanium. You buy it from Amazon or from eBay, I think. They're not cheap. This was about 45 quid when I bought it, I think. But the material on the top has long since been ripped and worn, so I've put my own Cordura on there and sewn it with very tough polyester thread. But I love that. That's something I wouldn't go without. Sometimes on a wet day you've got nowhere you can sit, and it's just nice to know you can just plonk that down. This is Tyvek housewares, tyvek.co.uk, and it's like paper, but it's a plasticky, fibrey material which they use for buildings, for insulating the sides of buildings, sealing them, and I use it for a footprint for my tent. Not just for keeping the tent clean, but also for it's thorn resistant. It doesn't pierce very easily, and I've done tests on it. You can find a test on my site if you look for it. This is very thorn resistant. I've known sleeping mats to be pierced by thorns and gorse and any sort of stuff, prickles even that are very sharp, can go through your ground sheet easily and pierce one of those. It doesn't go through this. This tends to deflect them. So, touch wood, since I've been using this, I've not had a problem with my mat puncturing. This is a rain and wind jacket. It's light. You can get lighter, but you won't get better, I don't think. It's Gore-Tex active material, so it's one of the most breathable materials. I think the Gore-Tex Pro, which is a lot more expensive and heavier, is more breathable. But this is light, it's 230 gram coat, very waterproof. You can walk in the rain for hours in it and stay dry. And it's completely windproof. It's got two nice pockets in it. Just a simple Gore-Tex coat, and I love it. Next up are my over trousers, waterproof over trousers. These are made from Gore-Tex Packlight. These are actually Montane ones. They're full zip right up to the hip here. You can zip down from the top to let air in, or you can zip right up so you can get your boots through. The good thing about having full zips is you want to be able to get your boots on when it starts raining, not mess about taking your boots off to get your over trousers on. So these are brilliant. I think they weigh about 200 grams, and they've got a couple of clips if you want to tighten up a bit. But you can also buy Berghaus Packlight ones, which they're almost identical to be honest. These are just Trek Mates ankle gaiters. I've used them a lot in the Pyrenees in the past, where it's been wet grass and wet heather and that sort of thing. So if you're walking through a lot of wet ground, it's worth just having some ankle gaiters, again, which you can fit on over your boots. These ones we have to take the boots off to fit them on, not worth having. You just want something you can just quickly clip around under your boots, a bit of Velcro and a clip to go over your laces, and a couple of poppers to secure them. So these are brilliant. I think these ones are made with Gore-Tex. Anyway, very, very, very good. I think they're about 20 quid or something. This is a smidge net. If you're going to Scotland, you want one of these. If you're going to the north of England in summer, you might want one of these in the mountains. And on the Pennine Way, there were quite a few midges even in May. So I didn't use this, but it could have been worse. A small microfiber cloth. This one's gram counter gear. I use it, to be honest, just for keeping things dry and clean. Every tent gets condensation. The beauty of a single skin tent is you can lay down in your tent and you can wipe it all off and wring it out and pack away a dry tent. Dyneema doesn't soak up any water, so I love having one of these around. And again, for drying off the ground sheet, cleaning anything, washing yourself if you want to. It's just a really useful, versatile thing. If you're walking in rain all day and using your mobile phone for navigation like I do, then you want your something like this to keep it in. And you don't want to get water in the charging socket, because it won't charge if you get water in the socket, even if it's supposed to be a waterproof phone. For your maps or your guidebook, if you need to refer to it in the rain, it's nice to know you've got a bag you can put it in. This one's an Ortlieb bag. This is an A4 one, and it's 100% waterproof. Just a luxury item for me. I like to be able to spend time, if I'm stopped somewhere, to be able to do a bit of sketching. So again, I've got a little Dyneema bag here with a sketch pad. I'm not a brilliant sketcher. My wife's an artist, I'm a scribbler. But I do like to just sit and sort of study something, and it's just nice to be able to do that. And I use 0.1mm pen and a pencil. And this is the last thing, my shoes, camp shoes. If your boots are wet, or you're fed up with wearing your boots, it's nice to know you've got camp shoes. And if you're going to a hotel or something like that, it's nice to have something else to wear than mucky boots. So I bring these. It's made of EVA foam rubber. The pair of them weigh 220 grams. They're very comfortable. I can walk quite happily, a couple of miles into town and back if I want to in these. Got nice heels, so they're breathable. So you can wear them with bare feet or with a sock, whichever you like. So that's all that kit in the pack. There are items which are in addition to that. A selection of the kind of food that I take. I like Summit to eat dehydrated packs. They do some really nice tasty food. I find beef jerky, or you can get vegan equivalent, which is really nourishing for a snack and tasty. I like peanuts, again, lots of energy and protein in peanuts, it's very good for you. I usually carry either porridge or some muesli, not just a little bit like that. I buy a whole box, obviously, of 300 grams, 500 grams, and carry that. That's my breakfast in the morning. And to save messing about with milk and tea and all that stuff, I just get hot chocolate sachets. You can buy them online. This is one that somebody gave me, actually, the B&B. Just add hot water. It's very satisfying, I find, hot chocolate. Very nice. Guidebook and maps. This is the Cicerone guidebook that I use for the Pennine Way. That's the Trailblazer. There's a lot of detail in this book. It's very good on detail. I didn't find it fantastic for navigating. There's just too many finicky little maps with loads of notes on it. There's almost too much stuff. You can't see the wood for the trees. But it does have a lot of detail about where you can stay and that kind of thing. And of course, gas for cooking. I don't usually bother with these little silly 100 cartridges. This is a 250 cartridge. That lasted me for 2 weeks on the Pennine Way, and there's still enough there probably for another week. It weighs about 350 grams when you start. Most important is a phone. I've got a Sony Xperia 10 Mark III, which I really like. It's got a long battery life, and I use that with Outdoor Active, so for my navigation. I've got loads of music on there. I can use it for booking my hotels, flights, trains, whatever I need. I've had this one now for over 2 years, and it's still going good. Outdoor Active is a very good app, I find, for navigating. Download the maps, download your route, and you can even plan a route while you're away. It's just a very good app for whatever it is, about 28 quid a year. Right, as I mentioned, this is my definitive setup for thru hiking, and I've used it in Europe as well. In terms of the boots I wear, my preference is the X Ultra 4 by Salomon. I find they're light, they're grippy, they're supportive. They've suited me for walking the Alps, which was about a 500-mile walk. They wouldn't have been good enough to complete a trip across the Pyrenees, and I've done the French and the Spanish side, GR10 and GR11. These boots are the ones I wore in the Alps, and they weigh about 470 grams each. These have got a fantastic grip, they're very comfortable boots, but they wear flat in about 500 miles. Previously, when I went to the Pyrenees, GR10, I wore a pair of these Quest Primes, and I found that they lasted the whole trip. They were really good. So something of that nature. And the other thing that's different when I go to Europe is I've been in heat waves. After the first time I got caught, I made myself initially, and then I bought myself an umbrella system. This is an ultralight umbrella which I can fix to the rucksack. I made my own, very light mount which fits on the rucksack. So it fits down on the shoulder strap like that through some mounts that I made. It has a deodorant cap for the butt of the handle of the umbrella, and a little clip that I bought online for clipping it on. That's the only thing I will say about these umbrellas. They don't give you very good mounting systems, so I made my own, but this works really well. A few other things I haven't shown you yet, just around the rucksack. In the hip pockets I would carry my little Victorinox penknife. That's got some small scissors which are great for cutting your fingernails, a small knife, but it's also got a nail file and nail cleaner, that's great. But it's also got a toothpick and tweezers, great if you get splinters. I keep a lip salve in my pocket, torch, which is a Nightcore NU25 rechargeable. It's a brilliant torch, and it's got red and white lights. I need glasses, so I have varifocal glasses which are sensitive. I have extra bungees and things that I've put on the pack which help me to attach clothing for drying after I've washed. A Coughlin's thermometer, a very rudimentary thing. It weighs about 10 grams, and I took it to the Pyrenees with me mainly for measuring the temperatures out there, because I knew it was going to get up to about 40 degrees, and it did. Walking in 40 degrees C is not very comfortable, but it's quite interesting just to see what the temperature is, and also it measures down below 0, and I have measured down to 0 before with it, so it's just used for a little confirmation thing. It's not essential. I've got a little Les Biner clip on here for attaching this little goodie. This is a Cedar Summit Ultrasil rucksack. It weighs 35 grams. Once you've set up your tent and thrown all your stuff in, put your bed up, you want to go into town and get some shopping maybe or something, or you can go to a pub. It's about 20 litres, it's got a zip on it, where it's like a rucksack. So you've got your hands free, it's brilliant. Well, that's about it. I think I've shown you everything now. That's my definitive camping kit and hiking kit. I hope all of that has been helpful, and I wish you happy trekking. Thanks for watching.